Welcome to the fifth part of A Woke Christmas Carol, the final part. It is the end of everything. And after this, the rest of our Christmas Carol will be other stories. Not a Christmas Carol, will be other Christmas stories. So let's begin. Yes, and the dried flower arrangement was his own. The sleeping mat was his own. The halogen lamp was his own. Best of all, the time before him was his own. To plan his revenge in. It's over! I am done! Said Scrooge firmly. The spirits have finished their work, all in one night. And Jacob Marley, take heed! They did not beat me! Scrooge sprang from his mat and paced the room, expecting everything there to make certain he was awake. All the while he continued to talk to himself. What nerve! Rubbing images of possible mortality in my face. They all had their nerve, trying to make me feel guilty. Ha! If anything, they showed me that I'm the product of my environment. All the pressures put on white males. It's no wonder I'm the way I am. It's not my fault at all. He charged out into the living room, not even pausing to put his clothes on properly. He was too excited, too indignant, too ready to act on what the spirits had shown him. Thanks, Jacob. You sent the ghosts here, and I might discover what's real and true. And I found out the truth about what I'd imagined all along. Everyone against me and blames me for their problems. So who's the real victim? Me! That's who! These revelations sent Scrooge into giddy fits. He he had made he had made many plans for his day and for the near future. I'll start a radio show to address the abused and underappreciated white males in this country, he said to the empty room. No, a cable network. No, better still, I'll run for office to protect the interests of white males and businessmen everywhere. Whoop! Ah! And Scrooge laughed at himself and his agitation, a laugh that would certainly chill anyone who heard it. Without pausing for his usual gruel pancake breakfast, Scrooge left his condo hurriedly. There was too much he had to do. He had to fire Bob Cratchit for his pilfering and sponging. He had to draw up a will and leave each of his ex-wives a big goose egg. He had so many things to do, but first he had to get to his office. Where was his Volvo? Ah, me, I'm so giddy and excited I must have walked right past it. Ha ha! Scrooge retraced his steps in the small parking lot and spun around again. He knew exactly where he'd parked it the night before, but now that space was utterly vacant. What? Where? Screamed an incredulous Scrooge. Where is it? Who'd want to steal a 19-year-old Volvo? Infuriated, he was about to storm back inside to phone the police when yet another bright light flashed before him and left him visually non-receptive for the moment. When he recovered, he saw in front of what must have been another spirit, yet the appearance of this one was the most mundane and ordinary of any he had seen. Not that there isn't some magic to be found in the mundane and ordinary. There before him stood what appeared to be a middle-aged woman in a navy blue polyester suit that lagged severely behind the fashion curve. She wore her hair up in a pile that was slightly askew, and her glasses were perched at the end of her nose, and fixed around her neck on a chain. Fixed around her neck on a chain. In her hand was a metal clipboard, which she perused. She had about her an air of complete indifference. On the lapel of her jacket she wore a plastic pin to celebrate the season, a cute St. Nicholas that moved like a jumping jack, or Jill, when its little string was pulled. Mr. Scrooge? She asked without looking up from her clipboard. Ebenezer Scrooge? That is I, he said somewhat testily. What do you want of me? I am in a terrible rush. I'm sure you are, she said emotionlessly. She flipped a few pages and looked up. I'm here to offer an official apology for all that happened last night. It was something of a mix-up. Scrooge couldn't believe his ears. What? Who are you? How do you know of last night? I am the supervisory spirit of intercessory therapeutics, the Spectre said. I'm in charge of coordinating the caseload of the spiritual facilitators that are working to help persons change for the better at this time of year. I sent the spirits to you last night, as well as Rupert the driver, but my orders were somewhat garbled when I received them. When I'm afraid you were subject to the wrong therapy last night. Scrooge's mouth hung open. Even with everything he'd been through, such a thunderbolt he never expected. He felt his anger begin to rise. What do you mean, wrong therapy? How could such a thing be? We do our best, but mistakes do happen. What about Marley? It's no use blaming any particular shade. You must understand, we re-educate thousands of persons every day, and we're especially busy at this time of year. You yourself must realize how hard it is to get work done during the holidays. Meddling incompetent spiritual bureaucracies, gross Scrooge. I apologize for any inconvenience, the supervisor said officially and insincerely. But this is for your own good and everyone else's. According to your psychological profile, Mr. Scrooge, last night's method of therapy would be of no help to you, and might even reinforce your negative traits. I'm afraid this may have already happened. However, there are other treatments. What other treatments? Demanded Scrooge. I'll not allow. There's past regression, future progression. There's past regression, future progression session, which you had last night. For the severely despondent, we have negative alternative outcome treatment, which we see in the profession referred to as a George Bailey session. But for you, Mr. Scrooge, we have something much more direct and traumatic. But it is for your own good, trust me. What do you mean, traumatic? He asked. Last night was no walk in the park. Your treatment plan calls for rapid materialistic avoidance, the supervisor explained. In it, you'll be deprived of all the worldly attachments on which you place so much importance. In order to improve your character, we are forced to ruin your business. To start with, a government report is going to be released tomorrow, showing a definitive link between coffee drinking and liver disease. The price of your stock will plummet, and all your stockholders, including yourself, will take a tremendous loss. Scrooge looked panicked. No, wait a moment. I have to get to my warehouse. You needn't bother. It's already in flames and quite beyond salvage. The second blow sent Scrooge reeling. The work of a lifetime, up in flames, and he decided to let his insurance lapse just last week. This is too much, he said in a shaky voice. I need a drink of water. Let me go inside a minute. Oh, I almost forgot, the supervisor said. From her pocket, she took a small remote control box, fumbled to turn it to the proper side, then punched a large red button with her thumb. Heavens, the ear-splitting sound. A fierce, fiery explosion blew out of the windows of Scrooge's apartment, scattering debris and broken glass throughout the courtyard. There, you are now on the road to recovery. Congratulations. Scrooge sank to the ground and sat on the pavement. His ruin was indeed complete. He looked up at the supervisor, broken, stunned, near lifeless. He moaned, as much to himself as to the phantom. Now what? Now what? Believe me, Mr. Scrooge, said the supervisor in sincerity, we know what we're doing in our department. Our little scheduling snuff us aside, you'll recover from these setbacks with a greater understanding of what is of value in this world and what is of not. I have nothing left, he shouted. What is there of value for me now? There is one thing, she reminded him. Although I am speaking quite apart from my official capacity now, you still have the invitation to your nephew's house. I suggest you take him up on it and soak up some of his hospitality. Play some categories. Maybe watch The Grinch on television. You need to reconnect with the persons around you, and Fred's would be a good place to start. It's been a pleasure serving you, Mr. Scrooge, and again, I apologize about last night. The supervisor's spirit put her clipboard under her arm, and without apparent effort receded into the background and disappeared. So, with no other course of action apparent to him, Scrooge did as the supervisor's spirit advised. He managed to hitch a ride from a truck driver hauling a load of frozen turkeys, and within a short time he was knocking on his nephew's front door. And he tried to enjoy himself with Fred and his wife, although the taste of humble pie was new and not wholly agreeable to him. Over time, Scrooge worked hard to learn the lessons that his misfortunes were supposed to teach him, and in the end he succeeded. As he worked to rebuild his company, he learned the value of friendship and cooperation, mainly the friendship of bankers and industry insiders who helped him get him back on his feet. He learned the value of giving, especially to the politicians who would protect his interests, and he learned that he was not alone in the world, and so paid more attention to his public image. Finally, as a result of the intercession of the spiritual facilitators, Scrooge made certain to follow the exact letter of their teaching, if not their true intent, as it served him best, for he was fearful of undergoing more spiritual therapy or traveling with the ill-bred ghost of Christmas present ever again. And that's it for A Woke Christmas Carol. I hope you enjoyed, and the rest of the days we will be reading different stories.